Hi, and welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. Today we've got a pretty informative but also fun video for you guys. With all the record numbers of new gun buyers over the last year, and I mean records by like beating every other year in history in the US, I thought it would be smart to put out some information. Some of it is just opinion, but it is an educated opinion on how to purchase your first firearm and what to kind of go for to pick out your first handgun. Because I think it's something like 87% of people's first firearm is a handgun and not a rifle. So we'll get into rifles at another time. But yeah, I've got 4 different styles of handguns I'm going to be going over today. And there's, positives and negatives about each one. And we'll see where we end up with at the end. But before that, if y'all could like, subscribe, leave a comment. I'd love to hear your opinions. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me whatever you think. And yeah, the more people we can reach, the better. We're going to have tons more content coming. So yeah, please share this with everyone you know. So let's get into this. Generally, when people are thinking about purchasing their first handgun, unless they've done a lot of research, they don't know exactly what they want to get. I know I didn't. I knew I wanted to get a handgun. At the time, I thought it was going to be my only gun. And so that's kind of where we're going to go with this from. What would be the best gun if it was your only gun? Although what you might come to find out is that guns are kind of like potato chips. You can't have just one. Anyway, so first we're going to be going over the 1911 because that's what I thought I wanted before I bought a gun. It's not what I ended up buying for my first handgun. I bought one later on. But we'll talk about what the positives are of 1911, what the negatives are, and why I think it's probably not the best idea for a first handgun. All right, so first up is the 1911. Now, when I was looking to buy my first gun, what I thought I wanted was a 1911. And the reasons for that are, to me, as far as guns go, 1911 represents class, style, sophistication. They're beautiful guns. So this is a Springfield Defend Your Legacy 1911 A1. I love this gun. It's actually, of all my handguns, it's my favorite one to shoot. But I don't think it's the best idea for a first handgun, and I'll tell you why. So the positives about a 1911 are a lot. Like I said, they're beautiful guns. This one I've replaced the grips on, which made it look a little better, but it was a little bit of a basic 1911, although it's a Springfield, which is a fantastic brand. And I'll tell you why. So, 1911, generally, if you get the government model, has a 5-inch barrel. It's a big gun. It's all steel, so it's a heavy gun. Now, that sounds like bad things, but the all-steel construction, the weight of it, makes for a very controllable and accurate firearm, along with the longer barrel. It is easy to ring steel with this gun compared to some of the other ones, like this little thing. So, for that reason, it's a really fun gun to shoot. Why I don't think it's a great first handgun or a great only handgun? For one, it's quite a bit more complicated to break down and clean than like your general striker fired, polymer frame pistols that are really popular these days. It shoots 45 ACP, where I think 9mm makes a little more sense for someone's first handgun, and I'll explain that too. And it's big. It is not easy to conceal this thing. If you wanted to carry this, I've got a holster for each and every one of these, but this thing is big. You're going to have a hard time concealing it under anything. The other reason is generally they only have a 7 or an 8-round magazine. This one came with one 7-round magazine. I've purchased more magazines for it, 7 rounds. I do have a Pro Mag 15 round like extendo, It sticks way out the bottom. It's about this long, and compared to this, which carries 17 rounds in that much space, you know, you don't get a whole lot of rounds in a mag with it. Now that's fine at the range. You can just reload and keep shooting. But for something, if you're going to carry it, if you're going to defend your home with it, you know, I feel like you probably want to have the bigger capacity, the better, in my opinion. And so for that reason, 1911 is not fantastic. Like I said, though, it's a beautiful gun. I love it. I think everyone should have a 1911 in their collection. I just don't think it's the ideal first or only handgun. So next, we're going to go over to the opposite end of the spectrum, and we're going to go with a subcompact. So this is the Springfield Armory 1911. This is a beautiful pistol. It's my favorite one to shoot out here at the range. Again, not my first choice for a first or only pistol, owing to the fact that you only have 7 rounds in the magazine, and 45 ACP is an expensive round to shoot compared to 9mm. It's also a little bit more difficult to break down and clean. It takes a lot more maintenance to keep it running perfectly. But as long as you do all that, it runs great. Like I said, only 7 rounds in the magazine. So there is something you can do about that 7-round capacity. I do have a 15-round Pro Mag stick mag. It helps, but as you can see, that's a long mag to put on your gun just to have 15 rounds. Whereas with a double stack 9mm, you have that automatically. Not super reliable, that magazine either, but it worked that time. That looks pretty good. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is this. This is the Taurus G2c, and this represents the subcompact class of handguns. A lot of people have this idea that a smaller handgun is going to be easier to control, and so they want to go with that. That's actually the opposite of true. A smaller handgun is going to be snappier, recoil more, and be less accurate. Of all the pistols that I own, this one is the hardest one to hit a target with, by far. I'm not saying it's not possible. I can definitely shoot it very well. But compared to some of the other ones, it is more difficult to be accurate with it. The benefits of a gun like this one is extremely easy to conceal. I can put this in a holster, put it on my hip, and you can't tell it's there. Even in the summertime. It's got a small 3.2-inch barrel. The cool thing about it, though, is it does still have a 12-round capacity. And the reason for that being is that it's chambered in 9mm and it's double stacked. So even though it's much smaller than the 1911, it carries almost twice as many rounds. So that's part of the reason that I think 9mm is the right choice for a first or only handgun. But again, like I said, something this small, not the ideal first handgun. It's not going to be as fun to shoot. And you want something that you're going to enjoy shooting when you go to the range so that you want to go practice with it. Because if you don't practice with it, you're not going to get good at it. And it's not going to be an effective tool if you need to use it. So again, like I said, I do think that it makes a lot of sense to eventually get something like this because it's much easier to conceal and to carry. It's lightweight. And there's a lot of options on the market these days for subcompact double stack 9mm. This is the one I chose. Got it for less than $300, and I've never had a failure with it. It's actually a really good gun, but again, not the ideal first handgun. So next, we're gonna move to the full size double stack 9mm, and that one's getting closer to ideal, but not quite there. So another thing that a lot of people think that they want for their first gun is something that's small. People seem to believe that it'll be easier to handle when in fact the opposite is true. This is the Taurus G2c. It's my concealed carry firearm. Disappears really well in the holster, and it is the gun that I carry all the time. But the smaller the gun, the less mass it has. And so the more recoil you're gonna feel. So because of that, it's not gonna be quite as fun to shoot. It's also not as accurate as a larger handgun. So you definitely want something that you're gonna want to practice with and want to train with, because then you'll be good with it. Still does pretty well though. So the next pistol we're going to talk about is my Smith & Wesson M&P M2.0 9mm. This is, as far as polymer frame, striker fired 9mm pistols goes, this thing is fantastic. I love this gun. Smith & Wesson made this gun. It's a direct competitor to Glocks, which are pretty much the most popular gun that there is. The Glock 19 and the Glock 17 are the most popular polymer guns there are. This one is like the Glock 17 style, which is full size. It's got a 17 round capacity. 17 plus 1 in the chamber gives you 18 rounds of 9mm in a package that's not, too huge. Although, again, with this size of frame, not ideal for concealing. Also, it's got this really aggressive grip texture, which I love when I'm shooting it, but it will tear you up if you don't have a shirt underneath it. This gun, though, super easy to shoot. It's almost just as accurate as the 1911. It's got a full-length Picatinny rail, so you can mount a light on it. So this is basically my go-to. This sits in my bedside safe. Quick access safe. So this would be the gun I would go to, if somebody was trying to kick in my door at night or something. It would either be this or this. But this is going to be a lot quicker and easier to grab and handle. With the light, it makes it kind of ideal for, something terrible happening at night. So Smith & Wesson does make this gun in a compact size. This one has a 4.25, 4.25 inch barrel. They make one with a 4-inch barrel as well. They actually make it in a few different sizes. They make it in different calibers. You can get it in 45. You can get it in 40. This is a 9mm, which I think for a first gun, 9mm is the way to go. The ammo is cheaper and easier to find than 40 or 45. A 9mm is what the FBI carries, what most law enforcement carry. You can get full metal jacket 9mm to practice with at the range, which is very affordable. And it's also easy to find jacketed hollow points, which is what you want to keep for your self-defense ammo. So I do believe this is pretty close to ideal for a first gun. It checks most of the boxes, although this one is a really awesome range gun, really awesome home defense gun. It would be really hard to, not really hard, but it would be difficult to carry and conceal it under most circumstances unless it's like wintertime and you're wearing a big coat. Really fun gun to shoot though. I do recommend the Smith & Wesson M&P series. The reason I got this over a Glock The main reason, I think it looks a lot better. Glocks are, super reliable guns. They're awesome. They're close to the same price point. I just think they look ugly. That's why I don't have one. Eventually, I'm sure I will get a Glock 19. And the reason I say 19, not a 17, 19 is the compact size, and that's where we're going next in this video. So now we'll talk about what I think is the ideal first or only handgun. So with this Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 full size, we're getting a lot closer to what I think the ideal first handgun is. This checks most of the boxes. It's chambered in 9mm, double stack, 17 round magazine. Really easy to shoot, big enough to shoot well, low recoil. It's got a great bore axis. It's just a fantastic firearm in just about every way. The only thing about it is this is still a little bit big to try to carry. And that's why I feel like a compact is what you really want to do for your first one. This firearm shoots great though, and I would recommend it to just about anybody. Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0. So this brings us to our final firearm. This is the Ruger Security 9, and it just so happens to be the first pistol that I ever bought. I'm not saying that you need to get a Ruger Security 9, but this is the class of pistol that I believe is ideal for a first firearm. 4-inch barrel, it's got a 15-round magazine. It's a firearm that's small enough to carry comfortably, but big enough to shoot well and to have fun at the range with. It pretty much checks all the boxes. Although I did just get a failure with it. First failure to extract I've ever had with this Ruger, but easy to clear, and now we're shooting again. Ran pretty good that time though. So we've talked about the 1911, which is what I thought I wanted for my first handgun. We've talked about the subcompact, which is what I think a lot of people think they want for their first handgun. We've talked about the full size, which is probably where the other group of people think they want for their first handgun. It just kind of looks bigger and meaner and it's fun to shoot. Now we're going to talk about what I think is the ideal first handgun. This is the Ruger Security 9. And I'm not saying it has to be the Ruger Security 9, but this represents a class of pistol that I think is ideal if it's going to be your only gun. So this is what's considered compact. It's got a 4-inch barrel. It's a direct competitor with the Glock 19 or the Smith & Wesson M&P series compact. It's still got the full-length pick rail. So I have a laser mounted on mine. You can mount the light on it. The cool thing about this one, it's got the tritium night sights. So I figured I would put a light on this one. And with the night sights and a laser, this one's got a pretty good setup for home defense as well. But this gun can be used for a lot of different purposes. And that's why I think the compact is kind of the perfect size to go for your first one. It's going to be almost just as accurate and easy to shoot as the full size. Has almost as much capacity. This carries 15 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber for a total of 16 rounds. But it's also easy to carry and conceal. It's not quite as small as that one with the 3.2 inch barrel and 12 round capacity. But this is the other gun that I'm comfortable holstering and carrying. And so, I've got a holster for every one of these. This is for this one. I've got one for each one of them. But the only two that I truly use are this one 90% of the time and this one 10% of the time if I'm going to carry it. But this one is a lot more fun to shoot at the range than this is. Double stack 9mm. I think basically there's a reason the Glock 19 is the most popular handgun in the country. It's the same size, same 15 round capacity, 4-inch barrel, about the same weight. This one's a little bit different. This is actually the gun that I got for my first gun. Instead of polymer, it's actually glass-filled nylon frame. And it's not striker fired, even though it looks like it is. It's got an internal hammer. So it's a hammer fired gun, which actually kind of gives it a little bit better of a trigger pull, which is nice. I really do enjoy shooting this. It's kind of like not the best at any one thing, but it's really good at just about everything. And so that's why I recommend this size of pistol in 9mm specifically as a first handgun. So once you buy it, there's a few other things you have to think of. You don't just go buy the gun and that's it. You have to get ammunition. You have to be able to practice with it, get good with it, or else it's not going to do what you want it to when you need it to. You also have to be safe with it. You have to have a way to lock it up. You don't want it getting into the hands of people that it shouldn't be, whether you have kids, whether it be people that come over to your house, something like that. I have a safe that my guns go in, but before you're able to get a safe, before you have a reason to, you should probably at least get something like this where you can lock it up and put it away so that people can't access it. It also keeps it, keeps it from getting damaged or anything like that. And then you need to train with your guns, no matter what you choose. And, you can choose what I believe is the way to go, or you can go with something totally different. And whatever works for you is for you, and that's fine. This is just my opinion. But I do believe it's a pretty educated opinion. I've got quite a few of these by now. I shoot them very regularly, and I do think this is the way to go. So if you're out there, if you're trying to decide, you're thinking about getting your first gun, don't go into it completely blind. Do your research. Get something that you know is going to be reliable. Get something with a high capacity, in my opinion. Something that's easy to take down and clean and maintain, because that's also very important. Some guns need maintenance more than others. A 1911, you should pretty much clean it every time you shoot it. People that own Glocks, some of them believe they don't ever have to be cleaned. I disagree with that, but to each their own. You definitely don't have to maintain a polymer gun quite as much as an all steel one, that's for sure. But make sure you get something reliable, something, at least fairly accurate, something with a decent capacity, but also something that you're going to enjoy shooting. If you get something as small as this or even smaller, you might not enjoy shooting it that much. You're going to go, it's going to hurt. It's not going to be accurate. You're not going to be hitting your targets, especially at first. And so get something that you're going to enjoy shooting. Something that you'll practice with and get proficient with and want to shoot more, because the more practice you get, the better you're going to get at it. And the more effective you'll be if you ever have to use it. So we're going to go shoot each one of these, show you guys. I shoot all of them all the time. I really enjoy it. It's a fun way to get outdoors and have some fun, but also to perfect a skill that could possibly save your life someday. So anyway, like I said at the beginning of this video, please comment, tell me what you think. If you think I'm completely wrong, tell me, I'm fine with that. If you think I'm right, if you have any other information to add, better ideas, let's help people that are looking for their first gun, give them as much information as possible. Share this with as many people as you can. I've got tons of new content coming out. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, stay strapped or get clapped. Thanks.